Brendan Rodgers' future has been up in the air for some time, and now, according to reports, Premier League clubs are looking at him. We will go over this story in today's video, whilst of course covering all the last Celtic news from the last 24 hours.
But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content.
Celtic fans have been criticising the football they've been watching for months, and there's no sign of it getting any better. Brendan Rodgers has spoken at length about the pace and power that he's lost in the attacking third of the pitch, but there doesn't seem to be anything being done to try to negate that. The issue was highlighted on the 19th of October 2025 that even with Celtic 2-0 down, the fast attacking play that fans are so used to seeing isn't there anymore. Even when Rodgers changed the formation at halftime, lining up with 3 at the back and 2 up top, nothing seemed to be done to speed things up. That slow, side-to-side, predictable play has led to Celtic failing to score in 6 matches this season, and it's infuriating former Ibrox defender Ricky Foster. He's admitted that he sat in front of the TV and urged Celtic forward, while accusing Callum McGregor of playing it too safe. Speaking on Go Radio, he said, "Now, I don't particularly want Celtic to win games or lose games. It doesn't really put me up or down, but I'm screaming at my TV to play forward, to play quicker. Callum McGregor, who I think is a brilliant player, everything's safe. In this little run, and I've spoke about it before, the ball goes to the wide player, you're one-on-one with the fullback, and the guy runs in behind him and just blocks his space. No matter the players, the manager can implement a style of play and speed things up. It's clear that that's not happening, at least effectively, which is also down to the manager. Thursday is a big game for Celtic. It's being billed as a must-win, but the performance is going to be important too." Now, for the main story, as Brendan Rodgers' long-term future at Celtic has become a major concern for the club, with his current contract set to expire at the end of the season. Rodgers' side have endured a difficult start after being knocked out of the Champions League and now sit 5 points behind Hearts in the SPFL. Celtic are still eager to extend Rodgers' deal despite their shaky form, but turbulence behind the scenes and ongoing fan protests have complicated matters. Frustrations over transfer policy have left the manager unhappy, and Celtic's contract talks with Rodgers have stalled. Former Manchester United and Blackburn chief scout Mick Brown told Football Insider that Rodgers could walk away before his deal expires if a Premier League club comes calling. "Rodgers hasn't been happy recently. He wanted backing from the board, but they weren't prepared to put their hands in their pockets. They're out of the Champions League, falling behind in the league. Things could collapse at any stage," Brown said. He added that Rodgers is not getting board support, fan unrest continues, and it's not a positive environment, suggesting he could be tempted by an English club. Rodgers was previously linked with Nottingham Forest before Sean Dyche was appointed, but more Premier League interest could follow. Meanwhile, Ange Postecoglou has been tipped as a potential replacement if Rodgers leaves. Recently sacked by Nottingham Forest, Postecoglou remains highly regarded after his successful spell with Celtic from 2021 to 2023. If Rodgers departs, many supporters would welcome Postecoglou's return to Parkhead. In other news, Liam Scales has admitted that the ongoing Celtic fan protests have been a slight distraction for players, though he insists they haven't had any lasting impact on performances. Of course, tennis balls and bouncy balls being thrown onto the pitch are very different from silent protests or late entries, but the halt in play was similar to a VAR check or an injury stoppage. "It wasn't the ideal start to the match," Scales conceded, "but it can't be used as an excuse for the poor performance and result. The protests have drawn major attention, with national broadcasters and newspapers covering the scenes, while board members awkwardly watched from the stands, exactly what organisers aimed for." Speaking ahead of Sturm Graz's visit to Celtic Park on Thursday, Scales said, "I don't think they're affecting the players. We know the fans are behind us. They want us to win just as much as we want to win. Obviously, the protests aren't directed at us. There's a slight distraction when things are thrown onto the pitch. But once that's over, it's like a stoppage for an injury. Once the whistle goes again, you're back in the game. It didn't distract us from the football, I suppose. But no, I don't think it's had much effect. It hasn't had much effect on me. Protests are expected to continue in the coming weeks as supporters call for change at board level, targeting those they believe have failed to properly back Brendan Rodgers and the players." Scales' remarks came after a turbulent few weeks at Celtic, where unrest in the stands has mirrored frustration over inconsistent performances on the pitch. In other news, Nygren's signing brought a lot of excitement and intrigue. The guy seemed to have a bit about him. He started well in pre-season before making his competitive debut against St Mirren on Flag Day. Despite picking up 4 goals and an assist in the league in his first 8 games, he's not really met expectations. He's played on the right side of the central midfield pairing and out on the wing, but hasn't nailed down a place yet. And Stephen McGowan believes that this is leading to the midfield simply not working. Brendan Rodgers has remained consistent with his selections this season, with McCowan, Engels, and Bernardo left to come on from the bench or start in a rotated side. This has left McGregor, Hatate, and Nygren as the starters. Speaking on the Press Box podcast, McGowan shared his take. Not just with Callum McGregor, but the midfield in general, the mix is not working. No, he doesn't seem to know what the mix is. No, he doesn't. And I'm not really that convinced by Nygren so far. Hatate obviously is the most creative player, but can be, infuriatingly inconsistent. McGregor, again, another one I think who gets a hard time because of the expectations on his shoulders. Been a terrific Celtic player and a terrific Celtic captain. For whatever reason, that midfield combo simply is not working. And maybe that goes back to the fact that when you look at a guy that plays like Nygren, you get what you pay for. The Celts did manage to sign Nygren on a cut price deal with his contract expiring, but had it not been, he probably wouldn't have cost too much more than the £1.7 million that was forked up for him. There does need to be changes, with some fans crying out for Bernardo to be given a chance, while others would like to see Luke McCowan start over Hatate and even drop Engels into the holding position. Lastly, if there's one thing Celtic fans have learned over the years, it's that a goalkeeper making his first big European start tends to turn into prime Gianluigi Buffon the moment he walks out at Celtic Park. Tomorrow night, that man could be Matteo Bignetti. With first-choice stopper Oliver Christensen ruled out through injury, Sturm Graz boss Jurgen Zoimel looks set to hand the gloves to his 21-year-old understudy. Bignetti has made only 3 senior appearances for the Austrian champions, but now faces the biggest test of his young career, a Europa League night under the lights in Glasgow. He's played twice this season and conceded 2 goals. Austrian football expert Tom Midler told Celtic News, "It is only Oliver Christensen who went off at the weekend, but that's a big blow because he's the only senior goalkeeper fit. So if Bignetti starts, and I presume he will, you're talking about a 21-year-old who's only played 3 times for Sturm Graz's senior side. That could be a weak spot. He looks talented, but it's massive pressure."
What do you think of what we discussed in today's video? Let us know down in the comments section below. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.